I want you to think back on the most challenging and difficult and perhaps most embarrassing job that you've ever had. Well, today on the Shame Free Life Radio, we're going to talk about the most hardest job that you will ever have to work. Let's go.
Today is about the power of you.
We can be whatever we dream.
You're locked into another episode of 15 Minutes of Shame. Each week, we'll help you rebuild your life one brick at a time by addressing real life issues from a practical and biblical perspective.
I had to believe in myself like never before.
This is the Shame Free Radio Show.
Finding the solution to become the greatest.
And now your host, minister, author, grief and trauma support specialist, Dr. Ronald Zion Roseboro.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is it.
Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are from coast to coast around the globe. You're locked inside of another installment on the Shame Free Life Radio. I am your host, Brother Ronald Zion, and it's a blessing to be back with you once again. And we want to get into the hardest job that you'll ever have to work. Now, the opening question was, can you think back? Perhaps it was at a grocery store. Perhaps it was in a warehouse. Construction work can be very hard. How about welding? Carpentry can definitely be hard. But not just manual labor, entry-level jobs. You may say, well, listen, Zion, I don't work in a blue-collar job, but I do work in an office, a white-collar job, and it's difficult. My job is hard. As a matter of fact, it's hard and it's hot. It's heated. Tempers fly. I have to put up with unreasonable supervisors and administrators, and there's a glass ceiling that stops me from advancing from a promotional standpoint. So even though I have on my skirt, or I have on my two-piece suit, my briefcase, you don't understand the hell that I'm going through on my job. Well, and that may be a reality. But I want to talk to you about the hardest job, even beyond that, beyond a physical job, beyond the job of a 9 to 5, 2 to 10, 3 to 11, swing shift, whatever job that you may find yourself in, the hospitality industry, healthcare industry, whatever industry that you find yourself in a physical standpoint. I want to talk to you, as well as myself, about the hardest job that you will ever work. A couple of nights ago, and I talked about this on my other podcast. It's actually the Shame Free Life. It's on my YouTube channel. If you get a chance, go check it out. It's at the Shame Free Life. And I woke up and, just really meditating on the word, and then I kind of just moved into a different era, and I just started checking out some news. And what I saw was a synopsis of the life of Taraji P. Henson, who was a phenomenal actress. I never knew about Taraji P. Henson. Of course, she is blown up, on Power and other types of things. I don't particularly watch that show at all, but I remember her from Baby Boy with Tyrese Gibson and so many other actors. Vin Rhames, he played in it. He's a phenomenal actor as well. And I forgot the other guy's name. He's been in, the light-skinned brother. He's played in a lot of movies and also television shows. I'm not sure if he was on Nickelodeon or not, but I digress. She played in Baby Boy, and she just blew up from there. Well, I didn't realize that Taraji P. Henson, while she was trying to climb the corporate ladder of actress, so to speak, that she lost the love of her life, her high school sweetheart that she had a little boy by. And she lost him to a violent killing, a murder. And it really affected her. It was very traumatic, and rightfully so. But she concealed what happened to the love of her life from her child, her son. And so it wasn't until he began to age and then the truth came out about what happened to his father. Well, at the time, Taraji P. Henson thought that, listen, I need to do what I need to do. How many of you understand, if you're parents, there's not an owner's manual to parenting? It would be nice if it were, but oftentimes we learn by trial and error. Now, we understand, for those who are believers and follower of Yeshua, Jesus, that our owner's manual is the Bible, but we also understand that there are going to be many times where we're going to miss it. We're going to drop the ball. We're going to screw up royally, because guess what? We're flesh and blood. So that qualifies us for error. There's only one perfect one, and you and I are not him. And so she did what she had to do at that time in trying to conceal him, trying to insulate him from the trauma. But in finding out, it created a rift in their relationship. So therefore, Taraji P. Henson, she tried to keep her son from the trauma, but it's too late now. He's traumatized because of his father, but also because all of this was kept from him. And so she made an executive decision. She said, you know what? You are my investment. And I understand I am an investment as well. We're going to counseling. And I applaud her for taking a stance as it relates to mental health and making an executive decision concerning her own life, moreover, the life of her son, that they both can walk this journey together to wholeness. And oftentimes, we look at counseling, therapy as being something that's, it doesn't take all of that. Well, you got to be crazy to go to a counselor. It's nothing wrong with me. Well, oftentimes there's something wrong with you if you don't go see a counselor, especially when you're dealing with crisis, when you're dealing with trauma, when you're dealing with complexity of trauma, when you're dealing with complicated grief. You need, and I need, someone to walk us down the road, not alone, but someone to walk with you down the road of self-discovery, down the road of healing. And so that's exactly what she did. And now she's a huge advocate of mental health. So what does this have to do with the hardest job that you'll ever work? Well, I think that this is a teachable moment as it relates to Taraji P. Henson. And I applaud her. I salute this woman, this awesome, honorable woman, to think so much of herself and understand the pricelessness that's on the inside of her that was damaged by what happened to her, as well as her son. So she had to now go to work. And the work that she was doing, or the work that she was involved in, was much more rigorous, more challenging, more gut-wrenching, more difficult than the scripts that she had to learn, than the roles that she had to play, all of the foolishness and folly that Hollywood would bring her way. She had to work on herself. And working on ourselves is not an easy thing. Working on ourselves, it takes courage, it takes consistency, but most of all, it takes the grace of God.
God today.
And I want to encourage you today, as I encourage myself, especially when you're going through something. If you've gone through something, or maybe you're getting ready to go through something, the last thing that you want to hear, or the last thing that you want to focus on, is working on self. Because oftentimes when we're going through a trauma, when we're going through a crisis, our attention is divided because we're thinking about, and our eyes are fixed on what we're going through. But I submit to you, regardless of what you're going through, if you're in the midst of this adversity, whatever it may be, if you're in the midst of this storm, what is happening in you is more important than what's happening around you. But we're going to talk about what it means to work the hardest job that you'll ever work as it relates to some sharpening skill sets that we can learn in the midst of whatever that we're going through right after this commercial break. Have you ever felt alone and life is out of control? Perhaps like a sailboat at sea in the midst of a tsunami. Well, you're not alone. Here at the Shame Free Life, LLC, we offer services in trauma recovery, crisis intervention, and empowerment coaching. We operate in integrity, confidentiality, empathy with coaching ethics. Contact us at theshamefreelife.com or email us at contact@theshamefreelife.com. You may not be responsible for your injury, but you are responsible for your healing. Let us help you rebuild your life one brick at a time, because your life begins when you say so. Have you considered continuing your education? Or do you find yourself like so many, sidetracked by life, fear, or maybe even excuses? Well, I've come to tell you that there is absolutely no perfect time than right now. Time is ticking away. So get your degree today. Rehoboth International Bible College is an accredited university designed to meet your higher biblical education needs. Simply go to RehobothInternationalBibleCollege.com or call 866-235-0812 extension 0. You are an investment, so it is past time for you to reap the dividends. Rehoboth International Bible College. Welcome back. So in thinking about some of the things that we go through and some of the trauma as a result of it, and oftentimes we try to drink it away, we try to sex it away, we try to smoke it away, we try to dope it away, we try to shop it away. Many of us in the church, we try to shout it away, but it's still there. And those things that we become involved in become nothing more than just a sedative. It's nothing more than just a numbing agent to numb us from the reality of what we're going through. But even though that we're going through these things and they are real, the most important thing that's happening when we connect with individuals that can help us walk out our healing, walk out our inner freedom, we begin to sharpen some skill sets, even in the midst of the adversity and the problems that we currently are in. Let's just take a look at a couple of skill sets to kind of just meditate on while we're going through something. And I know I can testify myself. When I'm going through something, the last thing that I'm trying to work on is myself. If there's somebody that have wronged me, if there's somebody that have done something to me, if there's some type of injustice, I'm like, man, 0 to 100. I'm going to give you all of that. But understanding and getting to a place of maturity, coming to a place of self-awareness. Every fight is not your fight. We're not called to enlist in every single battle. And oftentimes we find ourselves fighting in war after war after war, but then you have to kind of fall back and ask yourself the question, did I enlist myself in this war or was I drafted? Now, if the Most High drafts us into a warlike problem, into a warlike adversity, He's going to equip us to be victorious in that war because He drafted us. He called us. And if the Most High God, if He calls you or drafts you, He definitely will equip you. I think David made it abundantly clear, even in Psalms 23. He says that the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, and He leads me beside the still water. So the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not lack. I shall not want for anything, because it's His job. It's His responsibility. He is accountable to the sheep as I am accountable to Him. So if the Lord Yah Himself, if He drafts us into or drafts us for a fight or a battle, He's going to equip us. But if we enlist ourselves, haven't had any prior training, then there's no wonder that we suffer defeat. But now we're going to talk about some victory strategies while we're going through whatever we're going through, especially now. You got coronavirus, you got Delta variant, you got this, you got that, tsunamis, hurricanes, the housing industry and this going on. And I mean, just so much, just manifold pressure and manifold assaults that's taking place, just bombarding the mind. People just acting a fool on a daily basis. I'm not talking about just road rage. I mean, just acting out of their own inner brokenness or acting out of that dark place that's on the inside of them until the light of truth shines forth, if they will allow it. So let's talk about some sharpening skills. Well, the first thing is self-image. Self-image is so important. Self-image is so important that even David, again, using him as another example, he talked about it in Psalms 139, verse 14. He says, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows right well. Understanding who you are, even in the midst of where you are, that what you have gone through or where you currently are is not indicative of who you are.
God, today.
Where you are has absolutely nothing to do with who you are, but who you are is becoming even in the midst of where you are. And oftentimes, if we can just keep it 100, the very things that we go through that's so uncomfortable, no matter what you're going through, we could talk about a laundry list of things, it could be a divorce, it could be this, it could be that, it could be injustice, it could be, people just running your name through the mud for just no apparent reason, people assassinating your character or whatever the case may be. That who you are inwardly outshines and outweighs what is taking place against you outwardly. And so David even had to understand this. Though he was never his father's favorite and his brothers always shunned him, he knew nothing but rejection and abandonment. And now rejected by King Saul, on the run for his life, haven't done anything but good during that time. But he found himself, listen, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. let me now not just look at my circumstance, because if I look at my circumstances, it will dictate to me that I'm less than, that I'm an underachiever, that I'm the less likely to succeed at anything in life. If I begin to look at my situations, I'll begin to look at my situations and I'll begin to now use other people as a plumb line or a yardstick to measure success. Is if I know what's going on with them behind closed doors. There are many people that's on social media right now that's flaunting, that's stunning out there. I mean, like they have this going on, that going on, but you really don't know what's going on behind closed doors. They would have you thinking that, everything is all good, but they could be depressed and crying themselves to sleep. They're taking pictures and shots of the new house that they bought. Hey, look at this $500,000 house I bought. I just bought a $1.2 million. All you see is the outside of the house, but you never see the inside of the house because they don't have furniture. And so it's all about a facade. It's all about imagery that I can appeal to your senses to accept me because I don't accept me. And what people accept are the things that you have, as opposed to the thing that's on the inside of you with more substance than what you have. It's not what you have possessed, but it's what you possess inwardly as opposed to outwardly. Now, even in talking about, image, we also have to look at another dynamic of this, because, James talked about it also, in the book of James, beginning with verse 22, he says, but be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For he who is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who beholds his natural face in a mirror. For he beholds himself and immediately forgets what manner of man he was. But whoever looks into the perfect law of liberty, verse 25, and continues in it, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work. Here we go again, still talking about that work, the hardest job that you will ever work. This man shall be blessed in his deeds. I submit to you that it is not what you possess outwardly. And unfortunately, in the church, we have developed such a culture of just fiending for the appetite of what the world has. Now, we understand, listen, God, the Most High Yah, he wants to bless us, and he blesses us, and it's nothing wrong with that, but he blesses us hoping that we will reciprocate that. Bless us that we can be a blessing to someone else, as opposed to hoarding what we have, as if we are living a life of the lifestyle and rich and famous. The Atlanta Housewives. And so we have unfortunately developed a culture like mindset and mentality that is all about me, myself, and I. And the more things that I accumulate, that means that God is blessing me. Well, guess what? Satan can bless you too. Oh, yes, he can. He can bless you as well. As a matter of fact, he will bless you so much that you won't have time for the Most High God. He will bless you so much that you will not walk out or walk in your divine purpose on this planet Earth. He will bless you so much that now you will become an idol, and I will become an idol unto ourselves, instead of worshiping the Most High that gives us the articulation of our limb, that gives us the breath in our lungs, that gives us eye to see, to do the very things that take us from him. Isn't that amazing? So he will bless us enough to draw us away from the Most High. But of course, his blessings are always temporary. But here James is saying that the work comes in when I see myself. Okay? I see myself as I am and not how I appear to others. I see myself behind closed doors in private, as opposed to the accolades and the praises and the performance outwardly. And so we're entering into a time to whereas I really believe that the Most High is saying that he wants us to be so healed privately that we're just reciprocating that or refracting that publicly. So our self-image. And oftentimes, unlike the devil, he's not trying to show us things about ourselves that need to be corrected, that need to be healed, that needs to be purified to shame us. Again, the name of the show is the Shame Free Life Radio. But he's showing us areas in our lives because he loves us so, that he wants the best for us. And oftentimes he sees that we're not operating at the level of our best. So he will show us a glimpse of what he sees. I need you to take off your Chanel glasses for a second. I need you to take off your Gucci shades for a minute, bruh. And I want you to see things as I see. And I'm not doing this to shame you. I'm doing this so that you can be made in my image and that you can be a better version of yourself as opposed to a cheap copy of someone else. And so this is what he does. Even at the woman at the well, when he said, listen, it's necessary, disciples, for me to go through Samaria. Well, why in the world are you taking this detour? We don't understand that. It's not what you understand. It's what I need to do. And everything that I do is meticulous. Everything that I do is calculated. And I need to be at a certain place at a certain time to meet someone. And it was a divine appointment. And he met the woman at the well, where the equator was striking the earth in the very heat of the day, and she was alone on purpose because she was the neighborhood prostitute. And so he met this quote unquote neighborhood prostitute or jump off so that he could meet her drawing water because she was thirsty. But he met her to quench her thirst, but not her natural thirst, not her sexual thirst, but her spiritual thirst, her psychological thirst, her emotional thirst. He met her where she was. He didn't just see her for just being a thought, just being a hoe, just being a jump off. He saw beyond that to see the value of this woman, to see that you are a queen and you've been playing this role and you deserve an Oscar for the best supporting actress in a spiritual drama because she tried to get religious with the Christ, with Yeshua. She tried to indulge him into a religious conversation. But he said, I ain't here for all of that. Because your religion can't save you. Your religion can't heal you. Because if it did, then I wouldn't be here meeting you right now. I'm here for you. And so he gave her what she did not have. Your shout can't help you. Speaking in tongues can't help you. Your honorariums can't help you. You traveling around and preaching and teaching and sweating and flipping and flopping down the aisles can't save you. but getting in my presence can not only save you, but can reclaim you back to your natural origin as being fearfully and wonderfully made. So I see you beyond all of that stuff. I see the heart of the matter. So that's number one. When we're going through something, oftentimes our self-image is injured by that problem, injured by that adversity, injured by that crisis. And it's easy to give in. It's easy to give up. But the Most High doesn't want us to give out. So secondly, in sharpening our skill set by putting in that work on ourselves is our attitude. I'm the first to tell you right now, we're going to keep it a buck. Boy, I can have a nasty attitude when I feel that somebody is coming at me with injustice. For real, for real. And the Most High has really brought that to my attention. To be healed in that area, to be fortified in that area. Because if we're not careful, because listen, Jesus said, Yeshua said, in this world you're going to have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Even in the book of Job, Job says it's appointed unto a man. He said, a man is born of a few days, but it's full of trouble. So we're going to have times of trouble. You're going to have times of adversity. That's called life. L-I-F-E. But if we're not careful, because of places that are not healed or fortified on the inside of us, we'll begin now to leave the one ring and fight in another ring, leave that ring, go into another main event, always defending the belt. Anybody that, just like, Rocky Balboa, he was the heavyweight champ in one particular episode of Rocky. And then somebody came, well, I can take you out. I can do this, that, and other. Well, I'll talk about your wife. And next thing you know, Rocky, he's putting his hands up, he's getting ready to, knock this dude out. And his trainer, Mickey, wait a minute. No, listen, you got more to lose. Why? Because this invitation to fight was not on Rocky's time. It was not on Rocky's watch. And oftentimes, if we're not careful, we'll just jump from one fight to the next fight. Well, this person said that. This person did this. I've got to defend myself. The word says very clearly in the book of Ecclesiastes, there's a time for everything under the sun. There's a time to be born. There's a time to die. There's a time for peace. There's a time for war. There's a time for happiness. There's a time for sadness. But we have to discern the time that we're in. And oftentimes we don't have a lot of time to waste on low-level people. You don't have time if you are an eagle and you're called to soar to the higher heights of being the best version that you can be, that other people can be blessed by what you have, not what you have accomplished in life, but what you have overcome. See, that's greatness. See, we're getting this thing twisted. We think that, greatness is what I have acquired and what I have accomplished. Nah, it's what you've overcome. And so in changing our attitude, now we are in the driver's seat as opposed to the passenger seat, or better yet, somebody's back seat, driving us to another fight, driving us to this fight, another fight. And next thing you know, we're exerting so much energy in fighting all of these minuscule, unimportant battles, and we don't even have enough energy for the main event.
God, today.
Let's talk about number 3. Discipline. Oh man. You know, discipline is so important. Listen, the word makes it very clear, you know, how important discipline is. In Proverbs 25:28 says that he who has no rule over his spirit is like a city broken down and without walls. That is dangerous. A fortress, walls that surround a city, those walls are there for a reason. It's not for decor. It's to protect that which is in the city from outside forces that threaten the city. And it's also there to keep the inhabitants of the city from venturing outside to get slaughtered. So a person who doesn't have any discipline, God knows I was one. A person who don't have no discipline, no self-control, cannot harness themselves. The word of Yah says is like a broken down city without walls. You can't contain anything, and there is no protection to keep you from anything that can threaten your own spiritual, emotional, and psychological national security. And so discipline is so important. You know, oftentimes, you know, we're saying, well, you know, God, Lord Most High, I need this. I need more of this. Can you bless me with that? Why you bless her with this and not bless me with this? Or why is he, Lord, blessed with this? And discipline. It's amazing how much discipline we have in scrolling down our timelines, posting and tweeting and posting on IG, here, there, everywhere. Doing all these things, gossiping about this. You hear about this? Did you hear about what he did? All that nonsense and foolishness. We have discipline to lend our ears to filth. We have discipline to lend our eyes to that which is wicked. But we have no discipline when it comes to discipline ourselves in such a way that we can now do something with our time that is of value and of substance. Discipline ourselves in such a way to whereas we begin to pull down those images, those mental images that you are defeated, that critic that says that you will never make it, that voice that tells you or reminds you of all of your faults in the past. That takes courage, but it also takes discipline. Number 4, discernment. Discernment is also sharpened. And that was something that even Taraji P. Henson saw. Listen, I discern that I'm losing my son. I discern that this trauma needs to be dealt with in my family. Discernment is nothing more than just being able to have judgment. Being able to rightly divide. This is good. This is evil. This is right. This is wrong. This is good for me. This ain't good for me. This person is good for me. This person ain't good for me. Being able to discern, being able to distinguish. And what sharpens us as believers is the word of the Most High. And also getting around those that are also sharp in their own right. Quit hanging around those dull clowns. Quit hanging around your dull girlfriends, your dull homeboys that's talking about absolutely nothing. The same thing that they were talking about at 18 and 25 is the same thing that these fools are talking about at 45 and 55.
God today.
And there is nothing sharp about that. It takes something sharp to sharpen another sharp object. A greater sharper object to sharpen that object of a knife, of a sword. Wood can't sharpen a sword. Plastic can't sharpen a sword. Paper cannot sharpen a sword. So the question is, why oftentimes are we giving so much time and energy and an unwarranted commitment to people that are not sharpening us spiritually, psychologically, and emotionally or financially? Number 5, self-care. Oh, man. Self-care is so important. So important that there's no way possible that you can have a different self-image of yourself, develop a greater attitude about yourself, have the discipline to be able to harness yourself and to carry out the things that you need to do while the clock of life is ticking. Without self-care, your discernment becomes dull, it becomes null and void. Self-care was so important to Yeshua the Messiah that he even had to steal away. Man, I done fed y'all cats. And I done fed 4,000 here, 5,000 there, 25,000 here, along with the women and children, 30,000. Listen, y'all draining me. I know I'm here to do these works, but I need to spend time with the Father. And it said, and Jesus, Yahshua, stealed away. Spending time with the Father, but also spending time in refueling himself. What are some of the things that you can do, and I can do, we can do to refuel ourselves? What about working out? What about eating better, having better choices of our diet, the dietary that we consume on a daily basis? There is nothing good, there is nothing sustainable about eating Popeyes every single day. And hopefully nobody's doing that. But having self-care, spirit, soul, and body, hanging with those individuals that are sharpening you, joining organizations and committees, groups that are challenging you psychologically, that are challenging you. Maybe perhaps it's going to school and learning a trade, maybe becoming an entrepreneur. Hey, maybe going to a chiropractor, maybe going to a masseuse, maybe just taking a vacation. When's the last time you've taken a vacation? I mean, a real vacation where the phone was off, social media was off, but your spirit and your mind was on, getting refilled. Self-care. Self-care is so important because it refuels us. It resharpens us. The more that we are depleted and give out, it gives us more and more back so that we have more fuel for the journey. Well, listen, that's all I have for this particular installment on the hardest job that you ever work. And believe me, this is a 24/7 from the cradle to the grave job, and nobody have mastered it. I don't care what they call themselves. You're the chief. You're the chief cornerstone apostle. You are the supreme prophet. You are the worldwide states evangelist. You are the teacher of all teachers, and you're the archbishop of pastors. Whatever. Nobody has mastered this. But when we see things much clearer by looking in the mirror, and as James said, it's the perfect law of liberty. It's the perfect law of freedom. That is the beginning. That is the genesis of coming out of bondage. When I can see that I need to tighten up on my self-esteem, my self-image. You know what? My attitude, I need to really check this. You know what? I got lack of discipline here, there, and there. You know what? I find myself around the same identical people. And I said I wasn't going to do it no more. Discernment. Well, I'm going in business with the same old, it's almost like the same old clowns. Discernment. Discernment is dull and discernment is off. Self-care. So until next time, and shoot us an email. Don't be shy about it. Keep those emails coming. Contact at The Shame Free Life, or you can hit me up on the personal email, theshamefreelife@gmail.com. And I'm excited about the next installment. This was a blessing for me. I hope it's been a blessing for you. And so share this podcast. Get it on out there. Don't keep anything good for yourself and it's good to yourself. Give it to someone else. Share it. It's better to give than to receive. And so until the next time, I want you to understand something, as I always say. No matter where you have been, no matter where you currently are, and you know there's more to life than this, than what you have seen, what you have experienced, your life begins when you say so.
Thank you for joining us on the Shame Free Life radio show for 15 Minutes of Shame. Follow us on IG and Twitter at Shame Free Life. For information on promoting your business with us, contact us at theshamefreelife@gmail.com. Until next time, your life begins when you say so.